Peter.
Hi, morning.
Good morning, everyone. Back to Shmuel Bet. We spoke last week about the beginning, at least, of the beginning of the battle at the pool of Givon, and we spoke about where it was, the geography of it, and we spoke about the fact that we're going to see that neither David's general, whose name was
Yoav.
And Shaul's team, Ishbosheth's general, whose name was
Avner.
Avner.
Neither Yoav nor Avner come out looking very good on this particular episode. And we'll see why very shortly. I'll just break off there to welcome Johnny back. How are you feeling, Johnny?
Yeah, thank God. I'm okay.
Good. Glad to see you back.
Thank you.
Right, so let's get into it. Let's share the screen. We're on chapter 2 of Shmuel Bet. There it is on the screen for you now. We left off at verse 16. And if you remember, we had this almost sport-like duel of 12 versus 12 of Yoav's troops and 12 of, excuse me,
I'll bring you back. It doesn't share.
12 of Avner's troops, and they had this sort of standoff, and it was almost like a gladiator thing. What was the result?
24 dead.
Well, they all fell down dead.
Yeah, the score was 12 all. Right,
Yeah.
12 all. They all died.
Yeah.
And it was a score draw. I think Jeffrey said that last week. It was a score draw.
Settled for that this afternoon.
So hang on a second. Answer phone machine off. Don't know how to do it. Hang on a minute. There we go. Right. So there's 12 all, and nobody's won. So then what happens? Let's have a look.
Extra time.
Extra time. Well, that's exactly what happened, Peter. It became a bit of a free-for-all. And instead of like in David and Goliath, where it ended in that situation. Remember, David and Goliath, there was a one-on-one. And whoever was to win was going to be the master. Whoever was going to lose was going to be the slave. It didn't actually work out that way. But they didn't carry on fighting here because it was a draw, 12 all. They all went crazy and started killing one another. Verse 17, Jeffrey.
A very intense battle ensued on that day, and Avner was defeated along with the men of Israel by the servants of David.
Stop there. Right. So the battle was very sore. Kasher ad ma'od. And we spoke briefly last week about this expression. The milchama was kasha ad ma'od. It was a very difficult battle. 1 minute, Philip. It was a very difficult battle. Now, if you look at the oh, can you hear that noise?
Yeah.
That's my next door neighbours drilling. I'm going to put my earbuds in, and maybe that will cut out some of the noise. Just give me a sec. By rattling. They always choose to do it. I can't do this. Hang on a minute. Maybe it's there. 1 sec. Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Hopefully that will cut out some of that drilling noise. So the battle was Kasha. I'm coming to you in a minute, Philip. I haven't forgotten about you. The battle was Kasha ad ma'od, very harsh. Now, I'll let you into a little secret. in verse 30. No, verse 31. Just read us 31, Jeffrey. We've skipped to 31.
And David's servants, the slain of Benjamin and Avner's men, 360 men died.
Okay, sorry, and verse 30 as well.
Oh, and Joab returned from after Avner and gathered all the people, and there were missing of David's servants 19 men and Asahel.
So altogether there were 380 people died. Now, I don't mean to minimize any single death of anyone, but does that sound to you like a terribly kasha ma'od milchama? No, Barbara's shaking her head, and she's quite right to shake her head. It doesn't. One sec.
Depends how many men were
One
involved.
second. One second. Hold your horses. We are used to seeing thousands killed, aren't we, in these battles? 24,000 pupils of Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 people died in the plague of Zimri and Cosby and all that stuff. You can't hear me. Sound's gone.
Gone very tinny.
Okay, tell me when it comes back again. Can you hear me now?
No, it's very bad.
No good. This is
Getting a little better. Getting a little better.
Tell me when it's better and I can carry on.
That's it.
Okay. So we're used to having these thousands numbers, and here we're told this is a very, very bad battle, kasha ad ma'od, and only 380 people died. Again, I don't mean to minimize 380 people's death, but so what's the answer to that? Philip, have you got an answer for that?
Yes, of course. Take this year. We've got a war on 7 fronts, and the Israeli losses after the 7th of October, in troops is about 800 killed. At the 7th of October itself, there were more. There were 1,200. So you have to figure 2,000 altogether. But if you take into account the number of people who've been mobilized, then this figure is not a high figure, and it's the same thing here.
And the point you're making is that this is not
a high figure. And the point I'm making is that losses in combat, even though there are very many troops involved, does not necessarily mean that there will be a lot of losses. And the fighting can be hard in certain places, but it's not hard all over the place. That's what I'm trying to. The point.
Okay, but this is a battle.
How many people did they have altogether there?
They don't know.
Are we told that? Let's have a look. Do we know? No, we don't. We're not told the numbers. We're not told the numbers.
A few thousand, because.
Well, we're not told. We're not told. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point that I'm making is, I think
it matters if that was the number of people that they had. Yeah, if they didn't have more than that many people, then it matters.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So you're talking about in percentage terms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe maybe the figures came from the Gaza Ministry of Health.
Maybe. In that case, probably hardly anybody died. I am going to suggest to you something different. I'm going to suggest to you that these words here, Hamilchama kasha ad ma'od bayom hahu, and the battle was very sore on that day, is because of the end of the pasuk. Vayinagef Avner v'anshe Yisrael lifnei avdei David. That the second half of the pasuk is an explanation of the first part of the pasuk. What do I mean? I mean that the second half of the pasuk tells us that the men of Israel were defeated, vayinagef, from the word magefa, plague. They were plagued. They were dealt with harshly by the servants of David. Israel and David are fighting one another. Civil war. And that is why this is described as Hamilchama kasha ad ma'od. When you are fighting brother against brother, even one death is kasha ad ma'od. Right? And I would like to say that the reason that this is described as a very harsh battle is nothing to do with the numbers. It's to do with the fact that the two sides are meant to be on the same side, and that this is civil war. So I think this is a hint to us about the dreadful nature of brother against brother. And as I said earlier, neither side comes out well, and I'll explain that in more detail as we go along. So now we're going to talk about...
Rabbi Steinsaltz says that since Israel was defeated by the Philistines, Avner had to sort of regroup and get more troops in. They were inexperienced when they were fighting in this particular battle.
Well, yeah, that could be an explanation of why they didn't win. That could be. What we do know is that David's troops were very well trained, don't we?
Yeah.
They were. We know that from previously. We're going to see an interesting. We're going to see an interesting little aside now about the three sons of Zeruiah. Verse 18, Jeffrey, please.
Three sons of Zeruiah were Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Asahel was as swift on his feet as one of the deer that are in the field. Asahel pursued Avner. He did not turn away, going to the right or to the left, from behind Avner. Avner turned round and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" And he replied, "It is I."
Stop there for a sec. Stop there for a sec. So, the three sons of Zeruiah. First question, who was Zeruiah?
According to Steinsaltz, she was David's sister.
Correct. I didn't expect Rav Steinsaltz to get that wrong. Well done, Rav Steinsaltz. Yes, Zeruiah was David's sister. So therefore, these three fellows, Joab, Avishai, and Asahel, were David's nephews. Okay. We have come across one of those three already in our learning. Which one have we come across?
Joab?
You got a 1 in 3 choice.
Joab.
Okay, we have come across Joab, but not in much detail yet.
Sure.
Now you've got a 1 in 2 chance.
Abishai.
Avishai, well done, Leslie. Right, now you've done it. Where have you heard about Avishai before?
I was just going to say, and I haven't even been party to any of these shiurim, so it was just me putting in my spoke. I've got no idea, sorry.
Lucky guess, well done. Avishai, where have we heard Abishai before?
Rose and I have got a great nephew, Abishai.
Well, that's helpful.
He's currently in the IDF.
Okay, well, there's a clue. There's a clue, because our Avishai was also in the IDF. Where have we come across Avishai before?
Was he one of the soldiers that went with David when he was fleeing from Saul?
Yes, he was. Well done, Jeffrey. Let's see if I can find it. I got it ready. No, that's not the one. I got it. There we go. There we go. It's in chapter 26 of Shmuel Aleph. There, it's on the screen for you, Jeffrey, if you wouldn't mind reading that in blue.
And David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul was lying asleep, and with the barricade, with his spear thrust into the ground at his head. And Avner and the people were lying around him. And Abishai said to David, "Today God has delivered your enemy into your hand. And now let me strike him now with the spear to the ground with one stroke, and I shall not repeat this to him." And David said to Abishai, "Do not destroy him, for who can stretch forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be accounted guiltless?"
Right, so as Jeffrey quite correctly remembered, 1 second, Philip, as Jeffrey quite correctly remembered, Avishai went with David, and he was almost like he was his chief of staff there at this point. and he wants to do Saul in, and David doesn't let him. Right? David says, "No, you can't do that. He's the Lord's anointed." But what does that tell you about Abishai?
He was brave.
Okay.
He was a bit of a hothead.
He was a bit of a hothead.
Didn't Avishai also want to kill Saul when they set out, before they actually went out?
He wanted to kill Saul all the time. Yes, this is, I think, not the only time that Abishai's a hothead. Yes, Philip.
I don't understand, Asahel. You keep saying that he was a sister of David.
No,
His mother, Seruya.
I'm sorry. Then I didn't understand what you were saying. Yeah, now I get it. Okay.
Seruya was the sister of David. So these boys, Yoav, Avishai, and Asahel, were nephews of David. So Abishai's a hothead. Okay. Now let's go back to our chapter. Abishai's a hothead.
The hillside youth, they were like.
And so you can probably imagine, if one of them's a hothead, probably the other two are also. Right? So we've got here, potentially at least, Yoav. Well, he's shown himself to know, but Barbara doesn't like that. But I'm going to show you that they're all hotheads, Barbara. Okay? Abishai, we've just shown, is a hothead. Yoav, the first thing I want to go back to, if I can, I might have to stop the share for this. 1 second. I want to go back to our tribal map. 1 sec to just find it. Didn't get this ready. Should have got it ready.
very good, Johnny.
What?
Johnny's put it up.
Oh, I think right. Johnny's put it up. Where is it, Johnny? Oh, there. Yeah, right. That's it. I'm trying to get it on the screen. I can't find it now. I thought I'd put it somewhere safe, but I can't find it. Right. I'll have to look for it somewhere else. Anyway, never mind. We'll just show us the map again there, Johnny, please. Put it up at the screen for us. We can't hear you, Johnny. You're muted. Right. Tribal map. Bible. Here we go. Right. This is the one I want. Right.
Got it?
I've got it. And I'll put it on the screen. There we go. There we go. Right. Okay. Let me share the screen. Sorry about that, everyone, for that little interlude. There we go. Where is all this taking place? Where is all this?
I think it's in the tribe of Benjamin's territory.
It is. And what's the name of the place?
Givon.
Correct. Givon. There we go. Look, right at the beginning of the chapter. Right. Here we go. Where is it? Givon. There we go. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah.
Verse 12, it said they went from...
There we go. Right. Read those two verses for us, Jeffrey. 12 and 13. You can read it in your book if you like.
Johnny, is Givon the same as Gibeah?
No.
It's not the same. Okay.
Avner, son of Ner, went forth, and the servants of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, from Mahanaim to Gibeon. Job, son of Zeruiah, and David's servants went forth, and they met together at the pool of Gibeon. These were sitting at one end of the pool, and these were sitting at the other end of the pool.
Right, stop there. And there's our tribe. Now, there is Gibeon, okay? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Gibeon.
In the territory of
Benjamin.
Yeah. And Ishbosheth was the son of
Ishbosheth was the son of Saul.
Correct. And Saul was from the tribe of
Benjamin.
Benjamin. So Givon is bang in Shaul territory. Okay. And who is in charge of Shaul's troops?
Avner.
Avner. And who is in charge of the whole of Israel as opposed to Judah?
Yoav?
No.
No, Ishbosheth was the puppet king.
Ishbosheth was the puppet king. And who was in charge?
Avner.
Avner, right. So Avner is at Givon, right, which is right in his territory. Is he entitled to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So he has his troops there on his side of the border. Where is David holding at this time?
Well, he'll be in the south somewhere.
No, he's gone to his capital.
Oh,
Hebron
was his capital for a bit.
There, well, that's where he was. He was in Hebron. That's his capital at this time, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So, what is Yoav doing up at Givon? He's crossed the border. He's in Benjamin territory. None of his business to be there. He's gone all the way from Hebron without David's knowledge. You don't find David mentioned at all in this chapter, only by reference to David's servants. David does not give any commands. This is all Yoav's Yuzma, Yoav's initiative, right? Yoav goes up to Givon. That is a very provocative move. Does that remind you of anything? That some troops from the south have crossed over the border and are posturing.
What's happening in Syria today? What's happening in Syria today?
Well done, Philip. Well done, Philip, for speaking the absolute blindingly obvious.
Here.
yeah. Okay, correct. It does remind you of that, doesn't it? Right. So this is why Tanakh is critical of Yoav. What's his business going posturing on the other side of the pool of Givon? Right? He's not on the other side of the border. Givon is not right on the border. Givon is inside Benjamin territory. And this has taken place either side of the pool of Givon.
Does he go with troops, Yoav? Does he go with troops?
Yes, he does. Yes, he goes with troops. So he's posturing on one side. Rav Bazak says, although I'm not sure how we can say this because well, I'll tell you what he says and then I'll tell you why I think I'm not sure he's right. He says that actually Yoav went first and Avner, as a reaction to Yoav threatening Givon, came all the way from Machanaim, right? That's where we were told already, weren't we? That's where Ishbosheth was ruling. Miles away, over the River Jordan. He's had to schlep his troops all the way over there to Givon because Yoav is gone on one side of the pool of Givon. And that's a very threatening and a negative thing for him to have done. Rav Bazak says that Avner coming was actually a reaction to Yoav. I'm not sure he's right, and I'll tell you why I'm not sure he's right. Look at the order of the Psukim, 12 and 13. Read them again for us, Jeffrey, 12 and 13.
Johnny, is that Rav Bazak the one who lives around here?
No.
Avner, son of Ner, went forth with the servants of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, from Mahanaim to Gibeon. Joab, son of Zeruiah, and David's servants went forth, and they met together at the pool of Gibeon. These were sitting at one end of the pool, and these were sitting at the other end of the pool. Avner then said to Joab,
Stop there. So it seems to me, from the order of the Psukim, that Avner went first, and that Yoav went second. It's not what Rav Bazak says, but that's how it seems to me. Anyway, either way, what you've got here is posturing over Givon. You can argue the other way and say Avner came down and, well, he's come all the way from Machanaim down to Givon. Well, he's not gone for a holiday, has he? He's not gone to, you know, dip his
he's
feet.
gone home.
Well, you could argue that, but look, it's a bit close to the border. And if you're Yoav and you're sitting in Hebron and you hear that Avner has massed all his troops in Givon,
Johnny, you're going off. The sound's going off again.
Hey, I don't know what's going on with this stupid internet. Tell me when it's back.
No, it's still tinny.
No good. No good.
No.
Can you hear me yet?
No. You sound like Yaki on a bad day.
Oi. Can you hear me
better.
yet? Right.
Yeah, that's better.
So if you're Yoav and you're in charge of the security of the nation, and you hear that Avner has brought a whole bunch of troops from Machanaim all the way over the River Jordan, all the way down to his stronghold in Givon, and he's massed his troops there, what are you thinking? You're thinking,
It's going to be
hey up, they're going to come into my territory. So Yoav says, right, well, I'm going to go a preemptive strike. I'm going to cross over the southern border and I'm going to meet them on the other side of Givon. So this is what's happened here. Either Yoav went out as an act of aggression to Givon, and Avner reacted to that act of aggression, or the other way around. Avner went down to his own stronghold as an act of posturing, and Yoav says, I'm not leaving myself exposed. I'm going to do a preemptive strike. So either way, the two kingdoms, the kingdom of Yisrael, whose leader at that time was from the tribe of Binyamin, and the tribes of Yehuda and Shimon, led by King David and Yoav the general, are facing off. That's what we've got in our chapter. So you can see why, one sec, Barbara, I'll come to you in a sec. You can see why neither Yoav nor Avner come off well in this, because they didn't need to do this. They're brothers. They could have spoken and said, what's going on here? Let's not fight. They could have done what Begin did with the Altalina and said, no, I'm not going to fight. But they didn't. And scripture is very, very critical of them. Yes, Barbara?
Where was David at the time? Did he know what was going on?
No, the Mefarshim say David did not know what was going on, and that Yoav, this was Yoav's initiative, not David's. And we'll see later on how that pans out. Okay. Now, remember, let's go back to because the next bit is important. Let's go back to where we're up to. Now, we've met Yoav. He's the general who's taken the troops across the border. You could argue that that's hot-headed. We've met Avishai, his brother. He wanted to kill Saul when he had the opportunity. We've said that was hot-headed. Here's brother number 3, Asahel. An interesting name, by the way. Sorry. Let's have a look at that name in Hebrew. Asahel. What does that mean?
God.
God.
God, you know,
God did.
God performed, or God.
God performed. God did. God made.
Yeah. But it's something in our schools called Asahel, I think.
I'm not familiar with that person. I think so. I've never heard that name before.
Okay.
Personally. Anyway, look what his particular skill was. Verse 18, Jeff.
I know we've got an Avner in our shield, Johnny. If they're all like him, they would have won the battle if they were all like him.
The three sons. Sorry.
Yeah, Avner Ben Meir.
Yeah.
He's the Hagbah specialist in our shul. For those of you who don't know him, he's a big, tall, strong fellow with a wingspan like a vulture.
The three sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Asahel was as swift on his feet as one of the deer that are in the field.
Stop there. Stop there. Now, what have
Johnny,
we got?
Did you say that Avner Alush is a strong, big, strong guy? He's a pussycat. I take him down anytime. I've done it so many times.
Yes.
Too.
Thank you. What does Steinsaltz translate this as, please, Johnny?
The three sons of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, David's sister, three sons of Sarah, David's sister, who was probably older than he, were there amongst David's men. Joab, Abishai, Asahel. Asahel was swift of foot, like one of the gazelles in the field.
Thank you very much. Thank
He
you.
was a
Thank you.
fast
Thank you.
runner.
That'll do. Thank you. You said the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
What was the word I was looking for?
Gazelle.
Gazelle. And what have we got here?
Gazelle.
Well,
Deer. And what is Art Scroll say?
A deer.
Deer. Correct. Who's
Deer
correct?
that are in the field.
Who is correct?
I think
Steinsaltz.
I think gazelle is more accurate.
Correct. Tzvi is, we've had this conversation before, but we'll repeat it. Tzvi is a fleet-footed animal, okay? And it was always translated in all the European translations, whether that be into French, into Yiddish, into English, into whatever, it was always translated as a deer. And according to Rav Natan Slifkin, who knows a thing or two about animals, the tzvi is not a deer, it is a gazelle.
Because the gazelle is native.
Correct. There were no deer in Eretz Israel at this time. There were no deer. If you look at the origins of deer, you'll find that they didn't exist in the time of 1000 BCE, which is the time we're talking about, in the Middle East. What have you got there, Ivor? You've got a blurred picture. What does it show? A blurred picture, and you're muted. Not much use to us.
I know. I'm muted because they're drilling outside out.
Yeah, you've got drilling as well. That's nice. Anyway, what does it say, that picture? What is it?
That's a gazelle.
Okay, we can bring it closer. We can almost see it now.
Got horns.
There we go. That's a gazelle. There we are. Lovely gazelle.
Like a unicorn with two horns.
Okay, so there's a gazelle. So yes, so a tzvi is a gazelle. Now, why did all the English, French, German, Yiddish, whatever, Polish translations all say deer?
Because deer are native to Northern Europe.
Correct. Simple as that. And and basically Rashi et al. Rashi's another one who calls it a deer. Rashi et al. Had not had the benefit of reading Natan Slifkin's book. Right? That's the bottom line. Right? And why, since we now know that a tzvi is a gazelle, why does Art Scroll and Chabad still translate it as a deer?
Because they're stubborn.
Yes, thank you, Han. That's a nice picture there, Ivor. Have a look at Ivor's picture now. You can see it very clearly. That's a very nice picture of a gazelle. Thank you, Ivor. And that's the pool of Givon, is it? Is that the pool of Givon where it all took place, Ivor? You're muted.
This pool with steps going down, so you can see, was excavated.
Yeah, that's the pool of Givon, right? That's where it all took place. Okay, so let's just go back to that question. Hannah's answer. Hannah is because they are stubborn. Well, that's part of the answer. The answer the reason that they continue to mistranslate something when they know it's not right is because they cannot bring themselves to say that Rashi was not correct and that all the other Meforshim were not correct. And that is why Natan Slifkin got himself into big bother in 1994, because he dared to challenge the Achronim of the past with new scientific knowledge. Now, this is a particular hobby horse of mine because if you are an Ish Emet, and if you are somebody who wants the truth, then you have to say that Rashi and all the other Mefarshim gave you the information that was the best knowledge of their time. You can't expect Rashi to know how the internet works because it didn't exist, right? So you can't criticize Rashi for not knowing how the internet works, right? Similarly, you can't criticize Rashi for not knowing that gazelles were not native, that deer were not native to Eretz Israel in 1000 BCE. How would he know, right? But because Rashi said it, they have to stick with it. And it's a big problem because what you end up with is you end up with things that are not true. Now, does it matter whether it's a deer or a gazelle? It matters to me. It doesn't matter whether it's a deer or a gazelle or a monkey. I couldn't care less. But what it does matter is that you have education going on, teaching people the wrong thing, right? And that's what bothers me. And it's why they teach the wrong thing that bothers me, because nobody's got the guts, except for Natan Slifkin, who got himself excommunicated for it, for saying that they weren't right. If you want to read the whole sad, terrible story of it, you can go onto Wikipedia and put in the Slifkin affair, and you'll read all about it there. Or if you really want to hear about it, call up Natan Slifkin and he'll tell you about it in excruciating detail.
Every week he'll tell you about it.
And you know, it's very sad. It's 30 years this year since that happened, and he is still suffering from it. And it was an absolute travesty. But anyway, we digress. So, Asahel. Well, one at a time. Johnny
but
first.
somebody didn't know what a gazelle was.
Yeah, they would. Maybe they didn't. They certainly didn't know that there were no deer there. Yeah. And what did they say? They said this is as light of foot as the tzvi. So it must be the lightest of foot animal. What's the fastest animal in Northern Europe? A deer. Right? It's the same with the vulture, right? The nesher, al kanfei nesharim, on wings of
eagles.
Incorrect. There were no eagles in Eretz Israel at that time. What
vultures.
Is a nesher?
Vultures.
A nesher is a vulture. So it's clear that the nesher was the king of the sky. In Europe, Northern Europe, where these translations were done, the king of the sky was the eagle. So that's how they translated it. But actually, at the time, the king of the sky in Eretz Israel was the vulture. I think he said it was the griffin vulture or king vulture. I don't know, some vulture anyway. Ask Natan if you want to know exactly. Doesn't matter. What matters is that we're told we know the correct information from modern science, and we use modernity to authenticate our Judaism, not to make it lacking authenticity. That's the point. Yes, Jeffrey.
Johnny, 40 odd years ago, I went to Kfar Bloom overnight, and they had gazelles roaming freely across the kibbutz. And if you go to in the Negev, where there's a very expensive spa by the crater, there's a hotel there that has gazelles also roaming.
It's called Bereshit in Mitzvah Ramon.
Correct.
And you don't even need to go that far. You can go, and I'm sure you've all been. And not only have you all been, we've learnt about it in this shiur. Where have we learnt about that David went to hide, which is full of gazelles?
Oh, it was at
Yes, that's right, Jeffrey. Come on.
Yeah, it's on the Dead Sea.
Come on.
Oh God. Ein Gedi.
Very good, Ein Gedi. I wasn't going to help you there, Jeffrey, because you need it for your mental exercise to find it.
Right.
You did very well. Ein Gedi, of course. If you go to Ein Gedi, I'm going to show you something now. Just wait one sec while I show you something here. Hang on a minute. Jeff Kirsch was at Ein Gedi the other day. a week or two ago, and he sent me a picture. See if I can find it. Not that one. I'm sure he sent me a picture. I'm sure it was Jeff Kirsch. No, maybe it wasn't him. Anyway, somebody was there recently. I thought it was him. Doesn't matter. He sent me a picture because there is, if you go to Ein Gedi, there are little signage there which tells you the story of David in Ein Gedi. And there's a little, as you enter Ein Gedi, before you start even on the ascent, there's a little lookout there. And you could go in that lookout, and it's like a little stone, I don't know what you call it, a little stone hut with a slit, an eye slit, and you look through there and you can see these. It's called a what?
Hide.
A hide.
A hide, okay, whatever it's called, a hide. That's a good name for it because you're hiding from the gazelles, and you can see out there, and there's signage there telling you about David's stay in Ein Gedi and the gazelles, but they weren't deer; they were gazelles. Anyway, let's go back to our psukim.
Can I throw in a red herring?
Okay, go on.
When I was at school and we were learning English expression, we were told that there was a priori where you say, all swans are white, this is a swan, therefore this is white, in 3 stages. And this is what they used to teach in Europe, many, many, many long years, until they came to Australia. And in Western Australia, for the first time, when the first explorers arrived, they found that there were black swans, and they had to change the expression, the thing that they were teaching, because no longer was it a true example of, like swans. Swans, you could no longer say that all swans are white. But until that time in Europe, they'd only ever had white swans. And
okay, I actually don't think that's a red herring. I think that's actually very, very apropos, because that's exactly what we were dealing with here. The fastest animal is the deer. And so therefore, if Asahel is compared to a tzvi must be a deer, because the fastest animal is a deer, until it isn't. Okay? And Hannah is absolutely right. And just by the way, Swan River, which is the river on which the city of Perth is built, is the most beautiful place. Those of you who've never visited Perth, I recommend it. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. And Swan River with the black swans gliding along the Swan River, it is absolutely magnificent. Worth a visit. Belineda in February, I will send you a picture, because at Belineda I shall be there in Perth for my grandson's bar mitzvah, and I'll send you some pictures of the black swans. Belineda. Right, back to our thing. So Asahel was as lightfoot as the gazelles which are in the field. In other words, he was a fast runner. And what did he do? Verse 19, Jeff.
Asahel pursued Avner. He did not turn away,
Avner, yeah,
going to the right or to the left from behind Avner. Avner turned around and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" And he replied, "It is I." Avner then said to him, "Turn yourself away to your right or to your left, and capture one of the young soldiers and his weapon for yourself." But Asahel would not agree to turn aside from after him.
Stop there. What's going on here in these psukim? How do you understand those 3 psukim, anyone?
Asahel wanted to take Avner as a prisoner.
Or to kill him.
Yeah, possibly, but I think maybe to take him as a killer to show.
All right, either way, okay. Maybe he wanted to take him as a prisoner, or maybe he wanted to kill him. He's pursuing him, that's clear. And what about Avner? What does Avner do?
Well, he's trying to persuade him to go after someone of his own ilk.
Okay, why is Avner trying to persuade Asahel to leave off?
Because he's the one supporting Ishbosheth, Avner.
Because he's
Right,
a
but
relative.
why is that?
Because he's a relative.
A relative of who?
No, he's not a relative.
Who's the relative of?
We've
Sorry,
lost you.
Avner is related to David, and so is this guy.
Was Avner related to David?
I believed he was. By marriage.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Is the answer? Not to my knowledge. That doesn't mean he wasn't. Not to my knowledge. There's something going on here. Avner was. By the way, Avner Alush is well named. By the way, Avner was a huge, strong guy. Right, and he was scared of no one. Right, he was not scared of Asahel. He was not trying to tell Asahel to turn away because he was scared of him. Why was he turning? Why did he tell him to go away and not run after him? Because he did not want to kill him. Avner did not want to kill Asahel. There's some kind of relationship between Avner and Yoav. There's a certain mutual respect between Avner and Yoav. Maybe Paul is right. Maybe they were related in some way. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look that up. But there was certainly a relationship between Avner and Yoav. And Asahel is Yoav's brother. Avner does not want to kill Asahel. But he knows that if Asahel comes to him and tries to engage him in battle, then he'll have no choice. And in fact, what was Asahel in Halacha? What was he known as?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Have a look at verse 19. The first word.
And the.
Rodef.
Rodef. He was a rodef. He was a pursuer. And what is the halacha of a pursuer? If somebody is pursuing you to kill you,
kill them first.
Kill them first. Kill them first. Yeah. That's a halacha. So he is a rodef, and Avner would then have to kill Asahel, and he doesn't want to kill Asahel. You'll see this as we go along. He doesn't want to. Right, he doesn't want to. Let me prove it to you. Jeffrey, could you please read verse 22?
So Avner once again said to Asahel, "Turn aside from behind me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How will I be able to show my face to your brother Joab?"
Stop there. How will I be able to show my face to Joab if I kill you? He's got some kind of relationship there with Joab. There's some kind of respect. There's some kind of, it's a professional respect, whether there's something going on there between Avner and Yoav, that Avner doesn't want to kill Yoav's brother. So he says, look, please, stop being a silly boy, because if you carry on chasing me, I'm going to have to kill you. And I'm much stronger than you, and, you know, it's going to end badly for you. But what do we know about Avishai and Yoav? We proved it this morning. They were hotheads, and so it's very likely that their younger brother Asahel
was
also a hothead, and he doesn't listen to Avner. He doesn't listen to Avner. Right, verse 23, Jeffrey.
But he refused to turn aside, and Abner struck him with the back of his spear into his fifth rib, and the spear came out of his back, and he fell there and died in his place. It happened that whosoever came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died stood still in shock.
Stop there. Stop there. Okay. So what does he do? Asahel refuses to back off. And remember, he's behind Avner. Behind Avner, right? We've said that all the way along. He pursued Avner. And over here it says, did not want to turn aside from following him. Turn aside you from following me. And he refused. Avner does not even turn round. He gets his spear and he thrusts it backwards. And the butt end of the spear, not the sharp end, the butt end of the spear pierces Asahel. You can imagine what kind of strength that must take, right? For the butt end of the spear to come out of the other side of Asahel.
Asahel could have been running very fast too. So you have, EMC squared.
Not EMC squared. You've got Newton's law. Yeah. Okay. So you've got great force there from Avner. Now, was Avner in his right to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Why?
He was being
himself.
He was being pursued.
Rodef.
Now then, he was a rodef. Now then, David Mark, would you like to disagree with that? Would you like to disagree that Avner was not entitled? Would you like to say that Avner was not entitled to kill Asahel, even though Asahel was a rodef?
It's perfectly legitimate what he did.
Okay, that's what you think. Right. So now I'm going to show you a Gemara. I'm going to show you a Gemara in Sanhedrin. Okay, those who are learning Sanhedrin with us, we will get to it at our current rate in about 8 years. Okay, don't expect you to remember it in 8 years, but that's our current rate. It's in page 49A. Since it's taken us, we're about to turn over the page on Wednesday to 20A, and we started it in November 2019. So we are going at a rate of approximately 3.5 pages a year. So you can work it out when it will get to page 49. But here it is. Here it is. The Gemara returns to discuss the incident of Yoav. So Yoav, well, I've given you a spoiler here, because they brought Yoav before Shlomo Melech, who judged him. And Solomon said to Joab, "What is the reason that you killed Avner?" So now you know that Yoav took revenge on Avner for killing his brother. I didn't want to give you that spoiler, but I've spoiled it for you now. Anyway, never mind. Yoav said to him, "I was the blood redeemer of the blood of Asahel when Abner murdered my brother." Wait a minute. Did Avner murder Asahel?
No.
No.
No. That was rodef. He was entitled to do it. We've all said so. Look what the Gemara says. Amazing. When Abner murdered my brother Asahel, I killed him in fulfillment of my duty as his blood redeemer. Solomon said to him, "But wait a minute. Asahel was pursuing Avner with the intention of killing him, and therefore he had the status of a pursuer, a rodef." This is the Gemara. I'll show you the actual Gemara in a minute, if you like. "Since Avner killed Asahel in an act of self-defense, you had no right to kill him as a redeemer of Asahel's blood. That's not what a Goel Hadam is all about. You can't do that." And look what Yoav said. Yoav says to Shlomo, "Avner could have saved himself by wounding Asahel in one of his limbs. He didn't need to kill him. He could have shot his kneecaps, right? He could have just disabled him. Didn't need to kill him." Now, that's a big chidush, isn't it? Because now we've got a different view. Somebody who is a rodef, who's trying to kill you, what's this Gemara telling you? And let's just go on. Having failed to do so, wait. Having failed to do so, he was guilty of murder, and I was therefore entitled to kill him. So, one second, Philip. So what does that tell you about the halachas of rodef?
Nothing.
If this Gemara is correct, then we have misunderstood the halachas of rodef, haven't we?
It's saying you don't have to kill, you just have to stop them killing you.
Correct. You are entitled to do what you need to do to stop them from killing you. That's very, very well put, Avril.
You don't
yes,
have
Philip.
Okay, we're talking here about something which exists very much today, and which is a ridiculous concept, the concept of proportionality. When a guy is coming after you, you don't, or when you're fighting, you don't think about wounding him or not. You just think of defending yourself, and very often that what ensues is death, not injury. I mean, proportionality is ridiculous in a battle.
Okay, right. So I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that because I think that is very much a possibility. I'm not saying every time. There is always a possibility of shooting to wound, not necessarily shooting to kill. I agree. There may be times when you have to do that, but clearly the Gemara here thought that that Avner could have injured Asahel. Now, let's go into the Gemara. You'll see the Gemara actually disagrees with that. But that's what Yoav said. Just let's have a look what the Gemara says. So the Gemara now says further down the page, Shlomo said to him, wait a minute, Avner was not able to shoot his kneecaps off.
Exactly.
Because he's running away from him and he couldn't aim with precision. We already know from our pasuk that he hit him with the back end of his spear. If he wanted to kill him outright, he'd have turned round and thrown the spear sharp end first, right? So I think that Avner actually did try to injure as opposed to, or disable as opposed to kill. Shlomo Melech, the wisest of all kings, says Avner was not able to injure Asahel because he was running and could not aim with precision. Yoav said to Solomon, no, Avner was able to aim, and he hit him precisely in the 5th rib. As it is written, Avner smote to him with the butt end of the spear in the chomesh. Now, where is the 5th rib, everyone? Feel your ribs. 1, 2, 3.
Just above
4,
the heart. Just above the
5.
heart.
It's on the right side, yeah. 5th rib. It's
No, it's on both sides.
5th rib on the left side, Peter.
what?
Where's your 5th rib on the left side?
I hit him on the left side.
Well, it doesn't say. Just hit him on the
Yeah.
chomesh.
Right above the
Where the
heart.
liver is, Johnny.
Right over the heart, yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Johnny?
Where the liver is, according to Rabbi
Yeah,
Stone.
Nah,
the
the
gallbladder.
liver's on the liver's not over the 5th rib.
The area under the ribs where the liver is located.
I thought it was.
My 5th rib on the right is over my lungs, not over my liver.
And you're the doctor.
Right, Peter, you're a doctor.
Well, the liver goes up to maybe liver goes up.
That's a very enlarged liver if it's creeping up to the 5th rib, if you don't mind me saying.
It's the liver. It's the lung. You're right.
It's over the lung. On the right, it's over the lung. On the left, it's over the heart and lung. Anyway, so what Yoav is saying? He's saying no, he did accurately aim. I don't think he did. And it says here the place where the gallbladder and the liver hang. Don't think that's right. If Avner could aim with precision at the 5th rib, could he not have successfully aimed at one of Asahel's limbs? And so Solomon says to Yoav, set aside Avner as you're presenting a convincing argument that you are not liable for his death. Right? So in the end, Shlomo accepts Yoav's premise that Avner should not have killed Asahel. He should have aimed to injure and disable, not to kill. I think it's unfair because if you go back to the Psukim, Avner is running one way and he's doing it unsighted from behind. He thrusts his spear backwards.
Yeah,
thrusts his spear backwards. So I think Yoav is wrong. I think Shlomo HaMelech was wrong to let him off. I think Avner was entitled to kill Asahel. Not only that, he told him to back off and he didn't. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave it now because time is up and I've got a meeting. So they're going to leave it there. What have we done today? We've talked about Tzeruiah, the sister of David. We've talked about her 3 sons who are hotheads, Yoav, Avishai and Asahel. We've talked about Asahel being a fast runner like a gazelle and not like a deer. We've talked about Avner, who had some kind of relationship with Yoav that he didn't want to kill his little brother. And he tries to get him to back off because Avner knows that he's much stronger than Asahel. Asahel's a hothead. He's trying to catch up to this big fellow and he's going to end badly. And it does end badly. Avner thrusts his spear backwards and manages to thrust it all the way through him and kills him. And we also looked at the Gemara in Sanhedrin. As you can see from the top of my screen, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more things to show you on this week's Shiur, which I never got round to. And I do that every week because every week I think we're going to do more than we ever do. So we'll try again next week to do a little bit more. We'll carry on next week and we'll see what happened next when Yoav and Avishai, the two brothers of Asahel, come and see what's happened to their brother. We will look at that next week. Any questions on today's Shiur?
Thank you very much. Great share.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, as usual.
Okay.
Your usual.
Shavua Tov, everyone. Shavua Tov. Oh, I'm going to stop the recording. 1 minute, let me stop the recording. I've got something to tell you.